So I just walked out of Target, which is not the AMC theaters, but I just came from the AMC theaters. I just watched the live action How to Train Your Dragons remake, and this is going to be a very raw reaction, basically out of theater reaction. I just needed a little bit to actually get somewhere to where I'm not invading other people's privacy and other people aren't getting the back of my video, because I know that makes some people uncomfortable. I don't really want to do all that. So raw video real quick as I get into my car. And honestly, for a live action remake's sakes, that was probably one of my favorite live action remakes I've ever come across. You're always going to be skeptical for remakes because you don't go into it expecting it to be as good as the original, because that's never going to happen, but you just want it to, on its own, live up to the name of the first one and still just be a good movie on its own. And I absolutely loved it. I have a couple nitpicks. I have two. One nitpick is that I think the runtime was a little too long. I think the runtime could have been a lot shorter, if I'm being honest, because yeah, runtime was quite long. I was honestly surprised for how long I was in there. I didn't see it beforehand, so I guess that was also a reaction out of me. And I'm not huge on some of the character design. I think Astrid's hair was not blonde enough, and it wasn't even like how it was in the movie. You know how like some of her hair covered like a forehead bit, like they didn't really like replicate all that. And some of the characters, I think, had even slightly bigger roles because, like I said, the runtime came up, and that was mostly because they extended some scenes. Some scenes just had more lines, and there was just some stuff that was glaring that wasn't in the movie, and then there was some other stuff that I, like, vividly remember from the movie. And, like, I saw it, I was like, oh my god, that was it. I'll tell you one of those moments. There's the moment where he puts his hand on Toothless for the first time, and before he does it, he kind of hesitates, but that wasn't intentional. That was like an animation glitch, but it just worked, so they kept it. And they kept it in the movie. I'm like, I was hoping they would actually like honor that, and they did. That was an amazing moment. I think it's definitely worth your watch. For a live action remake, it's so much better than a lot of others. Not saying it's perfect. It had some problems. I would give it a solid 7 out of 10 for live action remake sakes, but it was a really good movie. I love the CGI. I thought it worked well. Toothless's design, incredible. And I'm just going to show you something real quick because Florida for you. Anyway, yeah, I would really go recommend watching this movie, just a live, raw, out of theater reaction. I really liked it. I like when you almost don't want to leave the theater because the movie just entices you that much. And that's kind of what it did. It just enticed me all that much as my hair is starting to get a little frizzle. That's what the heat's going to do to you. But yeah, just a nice, quick little video. I loved Hiccup's design. I liked the things that were important from the movie. Like, obviously, I assume all of you have seen the first movie, so I will go over spoiler details, but I assume if you're watching this, if you're watching a video on a live-action remake of a previous animated movie, I assume that you've at least seen the animated movie, so I guess spoiler warning, right? But whatever. Like, I don't really think you should be here if, like, you haven't seen the first one. So I'm going to go over, like, insane plot details, obviously. I think the recreation of when you first see he lost his leg, very well done. Pretty much same shot and whatnot. And this might be a hot take. I actually think they kind of fleshed out Astrid and Hiccup slightly better in this movie than in the first one. Like in the original, the animated one. I feel like it wasn't bad in the first one, but maybe that was one advantage to having a little longer runtime. They kind of fleshed out Astrid and Hiccup, I think, slightly better. You kind of saw their connection a little bit, and it wasn't as sudden. It wasn't a bad sudden in the first movie, but I think this live-action remake just took advantage of what it had at its disposal. I also noted this. Not Loud's dad, Spite Loud, had lines in this movie. He's in the first movie, in the original, but he's just there. He doesn't have any lines yet. But this movie actually gave him some lines, and I think he had a line in, like, the first scene or something like that. Which, again, pretty fun. I like how they switch things up, but still keeping the same general idea from the first movie. But my raw take out of this, I loved it. I'm going to turn my car on because this is starting to, heat's going to get loud. But yeah, that will end it here. I hope you just enjoyed a very, very raw reaction. When I mean raw reaction, I mean raw reaction. I haven't even really digested all my thoughts yet. But overall, solid 7 out of 10 in terms of live action remakes. Pretty solid. I've seen worse. I've heard about worse live action remakes. So on that stance, I would go give it a watch. Especially if you want to relive, the How to Train Your Dragon days of the 2010s. I only saw the first movie, believe it or not, in the same year, but I still felt the experience I had from the first movie, and I really need to rewatch that first movie like twice now, even though I just saw it like 2 months ago, because now I can watch it right after seeing the live action one, and then I can really flesh out my thoughts on like what worked, what didn't work. But overall, solid movie. Give it a 7 out of 10. Peace.